Hello everyone, welcome back to the new video. In this video, I will cover two small topics in the Snowflake. First one is the temporary table, how they behave, and the other topic is going to be the user defined functions, the use cases of user defined functions, and how we can use them. So let's start with the first topic, that is temporary tables. I have created a database that is temp trial, and how we can create it using create database command and then the database name. And now I want to use it, that particular database that I created. For that I can write the command use database temp trial. Now I am within this database. Because I have not mentioned any schema, so by default it is going to be the public schema. So in this I want to create a table, a normal table, a permanent table, in which I have these particular, you can say, columns: ID, first name, last name, salary, designation, and date of birth. So if I go here and I can see in the public schema there is no table, so let me execute this command. And in that particular table, now I want to upload these values like Johnny Depro, 30,000, pirate, and these particular these are the three values. Let me run this also, and after running this, let me see what's in that particular table. So now in that particular table I have three rows with ID 1 2 3. ID is one more thing, ID here is auto increment, so that's why I don't have to put it here. Snowflake will automatically process it and it will give the values. So now this is my permanent table, that's here. So this is permanent table, create or replace table trial. Now I want to create the same, I want to create a temporary table but with the same name, trial. So here the syntax for it is create or replace temporary table trial, and in that I have the ID, first name, last name, salary, designation, the same. So now I created this temporary table trial. If now I will, let me refresh from here, and now if I run this select asterisk from trial, let's see what's going to happen. After running it, we can see that there are no results here. Why? Because temporary table take precedence over the permanent table. Even though I have already created the permanent table in that I have these values, but here after running this temporary table, after creating it, and there are no values, because I have not run the insert command after creating this temporary table. We can see once I run it, there are no values because temporary table take precedence over the permanent table. Okay, so if I go to the other tab, and here let me again select the same database. I have to refresh it here. No, wait, it will take it on its own. So here if I select if I do select asterisk from trial, let's me do like temp underscore trial dot public dot. If I run it on the other tab, let's see what the output is going to be. Here I can see that there are those three same values that I can see in this tab for this permanent table. Why? Because temporary table is only for this particular sheet, like it is bounded only for this sheet. This sheet is a totally different sheet. For here there is no temporary table, so that's why it is accessing the permanent table that I have created there, and I can see the values here that are in the permanent table of this particular sheet. Okay, so I guess one point is clear, like temporary table take precedence over the permanent table. So now because I created temporary table later, and if I run this insert to values, so now let me run this. Now let's see what's going to happen. So now I inserted these three rows in this table trial. So if I run this select asterisk from trial now, let's see what's going to happen. After running this, we can see that now the table has again the 3 values 1 2 3 Johnny Deppro, same values that we already saw here when I executed this permanent table that was the same name as trial. So now these values are in the temporary table because temporary table takes the precedence, so this value got inserted into the temporary table. And let me come here, and if I run this trial here, let's see. Here I have only these 3 values again because those were in the temporary table, and temporary table is not accessible on this sheet. Okay, so now I want to insert these values, Brady, Pitro, these particular values. Where are they going to be inserted? I guess everyone corrected right, because temporary table take the precedence, so now they are in the temporary table. Let me run this here. Here now they are in this they are in the temporary table, still in the temporary table. I am still accessing the temporary table. Now permanent table, you can say, is hidden behind the temporary table. So all these 4 values are in the temporary table. If I go to the other sheet and I run it here again, here they are still, I am still accessing the permanent table, and if we can see that in the permanent table I have only 3 rows. The last row that I inserted here, that Brady Pitro something, it's not here because here I am accessing the permanent table. Okay, so now if I drop the table trial, which table is going to be dropped? Let me run this here. Now the trial table is dropped, but which one, the permanent one or the temporary one? Let me run this. Let me run the select statement again, select star asterisk from trial. After running this, we can see I can still access the trial table, and it has 3 values, but before it has the 4 values. So what happened? So now because temporary table takes the precedence, that table is dropped, and now I have only these 3 values that we were accessing from the permanent table. So now this is the permanent table, this is also the permanent table here because temporary table got dropped. And now if I again run this insert into trial command with Brady Pitro something, and I run this, 1 row is inserted. Okay, let me again run this select asterisk. After running this here, now I can see there are 4 rows in my trial table. Which table is this? This is permanent table. If I go to the other sheet, I run this same command here. Here again I can see there are 4 rows. So this is permanent table. So what's the point here? The point here is, if I have created a permanent table with some name, I can create the temporary table with the same name. But if we do that, temporary table will take precedence over the permanent table. So whatever commands we are going to run, they are going to be on the temporary table first, because permanent table is hidden after the temporary table. And otherwise, or you can say vice versa, the other thing is, if I have already created a temporary table with some name, and after that I am creating a permanent table with that same name, I can do that. But then again, temporary table will come in front, and we can, whatever operations we are going to run after that, they are going to be happen on the temporary table. I can show that thing also. First let me refresh this thing here. I still have a trial table, so let me drop this trial table, and let me refresh it here. And here in the public I have no tables. Okay, and let me refresh here also. Okay, here before I created a permanent table first, and after that I created the temporary table. So let me create the temporary table first. if I refresh it here, I can see this trial table, it has 0 value. So let me, if I run it here it says query produced no results. That means table is created, and I created temporary table here. So that means if I try to run the same select asterisk from trial on my other sheet, what's going to happen? It will throw me the error like no such table is there. Yeah, does not exist or not authorized, because that's a temporary table. Okay, so on this temporary table I want to add these values, not add, insert. I inserted these values, and if I run it here, I have these values in my temporary table, and I guess I don't have to run it on my other table because we know they are not going to be there. Okay, so now let me create a permanent table. In the here we can see there are 3 records. Okay, so now let me create a permanent table. I created permanent table, and let me run it here. So now there is going to be no error. Yeah, there is no error, but we can see that there is some table here, and that's a permanent table. Okay, and let me insert the values. Oh, I inserted the values again, those same values. Okay, let me run this here again. I will see them twice. Yep, there are here, but if I run it here again, it is still going to be blank. Yep, because temporary table takes the precedence. So I guess everyone understood what's happening here. So we can create the temporary table and the permanent table with the same name, but preference is going to be for the temporary table, and it will, like, even if I don't drop it, it's not going to be here after I close this session. So let me close this session here, and here if I run it, it's only this one. And if I go back here, test, and if I run this one, the one that I had before, and here if I run the select asterisk from trial, oops, it's here. Yeah, so I have to close this particular full session, and then it's going to be gone from here. But I guess everybody understood what's the point here. If I drop this table, and if I run this here, it's going to be blank. Yeah, so this was about the temporary table and permanent table. So the second topic is the functions. What are functions? Functions are like same as what we use in the other languages, like that you can reuse them multiple times again and again. So that's what functions are. What is the syntax of function? Syntax of function is create function with the function name and then the brackets, and then after that we have to write returns whatever it returns. It's returning here a number, and then after that as, and then $2 signs, and then whatever you want to get from your function. Here I want to get select sum of salary from trial, and then again $$ signs, and then this is your function. I guess everybody knows that or replace is optional. So there are two kind of functions here in the Snowflake. First one is user defined table function, and the other one is user defined function. In user defined function, it is going to return a scalar value, a single value. So that's why I type here, it is going to return whatever it's going to be return, it's going to be a number type. And in user defined table function, it can return multiple rows and columns. We will discuss it later. First I'm going over the user defined function. So I'm using the trial table here. So let me upload the values in the trial table. So this is the trial table. If I run this value, and if I run this value, and let me do this select asterisk from table trial. Okay, I have 4 values there. Okay, so now my first function, I just want the sum of salary from trial. If I do the sum of salary, that means it's going to return only one, you can say, scalar value. If I run it here, So my function is created. Let me refresh it here. Temp trial public. Here you can see there is a function that is salary sum that I created. And how to call the function? Just do like select whatever your function name is. Salary sum here is my function name. I created here. Salary sum is 93,000. Is it 93,000, 30, 40 and 55 or 38? Yeah, 93,000. So yeah, this function is working fine. So here it is returning an integer. Instead of that, let me change it to varchar. That means it's a string. Now my function will return a string, and let's see what's going to happen. Here, declared return type varchar is incompatible with actual return type number, so it's going to throw me an error. I cannot do it because it's saying that it is going to return an integer and you want it in the varchar. How is this possible? So that's what I wanna show you. It will not let you do that. Okay, so here in my function you can see in the parenthesis there is no argument, but again, as you know, in the languages, in the different languages, we can have the argument here. So now in my other function that I created, create or replace function salary filter, in this I have one argument that I have named salary value, and this argument type is integer, and again it is returning a number because we are still working with the UDF. It is going to return me a number. And what is the function? This is my function, the value what I want to select the salary from my table trial where my salary value is less than the argument that I am going to pass, and after that just again double dollar sign. Let me create this function. Okay, after that, how to call this? Salary, select. What's my function name? Salary filter. And what value I want? 15,000. If I do it like this, then it will return me only that salary that is less than that. I just created it just to show how we can use the, you can say, the arguments within the function and how we can use them, because here I know that only one salary is less than 15,000, so I can use a user defined function with a scalar value. If I do it's like greater than, then it will not, it will throw me the error. Let me run it here, and if I will call it, because greater than 15,000, how many values are greater than 15,000? 1, 2. So there are 2 values, but here I am expecting only one value, so it will throw me the error. It will not work. Yeah, because it's returning more than one row. Yeah, in that case we can have the user defined table function also. Let me run this here. Yeah, so this is my, that's user defined function without argument and with argument. Like, what can be the use cases of this? For example, like you want to calculate the revenue for a month, for a year, or sales, whatever the things are, you can just create the function for that, and whenever you want it, you can just call that function instead of again and again writing select salary or select sum of revenue, select total number of sales, whatever the query is. Instead of that, just write that query once, create the function, and whenever you want to calculate it, just call that function and you can get your values in the scalar form. Okay, so this is how to use the user defined function. Why I have it twice? Okay, it's returning me a table. Let me run it. Okay, so now let's talk about UDTF, in which we can get multiple rows and multiple columns. Here the creating the function syntax is same, create or replace function, then the function name, and then let me run it without, let me copy this first, without any argument first. Here what I want to return a table, and in that table I want only one column and in that column I am naming as salary, and it's going to be integer type or number type. And what's going to be my query? My query is going to be the select salary from trial. I don't want any condition here, because let me create this function. Salary underscore UDTF underscore this function is created. Now to call this, what I have to do, I have to do select. I want which column? Column name is here salary. From, I want it from the table. Which table? Table is this salary UDTF filter. Let me run this here and see what's going to happen. Now here I got all the salaries: 30,000, 10,000, 15,000, 38,000. So instead of only single column, suppose I want the designation also, and designation is string type. Or here with salary I want, like, instead of designation I want to name it as position, and it is string type. Oh, position is also something. Let me do it pause. It is string type. Now here are, I want 2 arguments as return, but here it's going to be 1, so it is again going to throw the error here, because again the same issue, like you want 2 values but you are passing only 1, so it will not work, something like that. So here with salary I want designation from the my trial table. So let me create this function, DESIGNATION, DSIGNA, yeah, from trial. Let me create this function. After creating this function, now what I want only salary from this table again. Yeah, 30,000, 10,000, 15,000, 38,000. So this is my table now, final table. From that I am just accessing salary, but I want to access the position also. Let me do the position also, and let me run this. Here 30,000 is the pirate, 10,000 is the victim, 15,000 is UN ambassador, 38,000 is furious. So that's how we can use the user defined table function without any argument. And here I am creating a user defined table function with an argument. Again, the argument is salary val, the argument type is integer. It's returning me a table with only single column, salary. And what is my function? My function is I want to get the salary from trial table where salary is less than salary value. Or let me instead of this, let me do like where ID is greater than 2. Yeah, let's do like where ID is greater than salary underscore val. Instead of salary val, let's do it val. Okay, ID underscore filter. Let me create this function. I created this function, and after that I want salary from table ID filter, ID underscore filter. This is my function name where ID is greater than the value. What is the value I want? I want ID greater than 2. Let me run this. ID greater than 2 is 3 and 4, and salary for 3 and 4 is 15,000, 38,000. Let me see, 15,000, 38,000. So yeah, so whatever we create after creating the function, we are returning some table. So now that table is the table that I am accessing, and from that table I can get whatever columns I want that are already present in that table. So yeah, that's how we can create a user defined table function. Again, the use case for the user defined table function is, suppose there is a query that you frequently uses, you can have it in your UDTF. And if suppose there's a query that's very huge, very big, in which you are using window function and all, you don't want to write multiple window function, and if there are case statement also, you don't want to write case when. For such cases, if you have it's you wanted to use it again and again, then you can just put that query in your UDTF, and whatever output you are getting, then you can use it, and after that you can like work it with like normally, like join them to the other table or something like that. So yeah, so this is the video for today. In this I discussed about the temporary table and how they behave with the permanent table, and about the user defined function with parameter, without parameter, and user defined table function with parameter and without parameter. So I guess this video was helpful. I will see everyone in the next video. Until then, take care, have fun, bye.